We're saying he's a work in progress, and in the same sentence, we're saying world-class fighter. There'll be some fighters at home, you heard Dillian White here today, fancying it now. There'll be some looking at that thinking, he's kind of there for the taking.
Yeah, look.
Jermaine Franklin was an assignment that was picked for AJ to look good in and knock out. Let's be brutally honest about it.
Of course he was, but just, for one thing, he did a far better job than Dillian White did. I have to say that. I think he won quite clear on the scorecards. But again, you will feel confident that he does still look like a man who's overcautious about getting hit. It sounds ludicrous because no one wants to get hit. But in this division,
exactly,
his strength, it was his commitment to his attacks. That's gone. He keeps his shape well. His jab was good. His jab was fantastic at times.
Jab was good.
Jab.
But if he stepped behind it like he should, like he used to have a rhythm to his work and then step behind that jab, and then that creates the space. It pushes the guy back onto the right hand. But when he double jabs, he takes that extra step to punch through the target. And he wasn't doing that tonight, and it was there for him enough times to do it.
It was more sideways steps than forward steps. Give me some positivity, Daz. I mean, there were some things, as Barry said, that looked good today. The uppercut, he landed a really good left to the body.
Yeah.
What are the positives?
The win, first and foremost, obviously, but from a tactical standpoint, I think the jab was beautiful, really, really good. There was good variation with the shot. I thought the footwork going backwards was good. He always gave himself space. His back might touch the ropes, straight back to the centre of the ring, got behind the jab again. Look, the right hand was very accurate, but it wasn't enough commitment to the shot. It wasn't turning through the shot. And look, I do feel if there's an opponent in front of him who really trying to rough him up, really trying to get in his face, you may see more spite from AJ. But look,
I thought Jermaine did that a bit. I thought every time Jermaine got hit, he was straight on the front foot.
He did fight, and that made Josh a little bit wary. What Joshua did do, for the most of the part, was control the pace of the fight. Now that's a good trait.
Yeah.
So he dictated the pace, which means he did the rounds relatively fresh, I thought. Sometimes he got caught, but I think his engine was pretty good, so he boxed at his own pace.
I think he's too heavy. I think he's too heavy. I was watching him against Usyk, and I watched that fight the other day again, and I thought he's a bit more lighter on his feet against Usyk, and he moves a bit. I think he's a bit too heavy, and I think he was worried about the gas tank.
But the plan, I think their plan was to be more assertive. I think what you do in the gym, you don't always do in the ring. You sometimes revert back to your natural state, and I think his natural state is still that little bit of wariness. So I think they planned to be more aggressive, but then because he just wasn't quite sure, because it's still a new mix with them two.
Yeah.
He wasn't quite sure. He just reverted back to what he's known recently.
And that's going to happen, right? I mean, you can't switch
I would say, so that weight would have been effective if they would have done the plan that I think they had.
I wonder if he's stuck in different styles as well. I mean, AJ in his last 3 fights has had 3 different trainers. You know, Rob McCracken, it's Robert Garcia, and now it's Derek James. And I do wonder if he's trying to pick out from each trainer. And he, again, to me, he's reverted back to what he was with Rob. And that's not a bad thing because Rob's a good trainer. Look, I asked him in the aftermath of the fight, I said, look, Tyson Fury, I've got to ask that question because Tyson Fury is the #1 heavyweight out there. Everyone should want Tyson Fury. He's not ready for that, though, is he?
He certainly can't fight like that against Tyson Fury. I think he needs to find that aggression. He's got to be spiteful if you're in there with Fury because, you know, I just feel he would have loved that Fury if AJ was to commit to the fight like that. I think that plays in Fury's hands. On the other side, if AJ can find that aggression and that nastiness, then, you know, you give him a chance against Fury.
How do you find it? How do you find the aggression?
Again, it's just confidence. With that, he can punch hard, he punches correct, does everything right, he punches clean down the line. It's all good work. It's again the feet right, again stepping into the attack and believing it. See, when you commit to a shot, there's a moment there that you can take it back, and that's the risk. Once you throw, if something comes back, you're gonna take it. That's why they say punchers can't take a punch. It's not that. It's the committing to the attacks that are in the line of getting hit back.
Leave yourself vulnerable.
So he's not quite believing in himself enough. So he's throwing with a view of getting back, and that reduces the power. You see that right hand touching the target, where Joshua, pre-Ruiz, was punching right through the target because he believed that I'll get there before you, and when I hit you, you're going to stay hit.
Yeah, you are.
And credit quickly to Franklin, because every time he did avoid the right hand or a jab, he quickly come firing back with shots. So that made AJ think all the time, like you say, that little bit wary to, you know, commit to the shot in case he come firing back, which he did most of the time, Franklin.
But I would say about AJ, It's only little bits that will make a massive difference. Like it was even in the Usyk fight. It's just little things, because he's boxing well. Just little tiny things, just little commitment, and it's all mental for me. Those little things will make a dramatic difference.
Yeah, I think, look, too much overthinking.
Yeah. Yeah, look, let's rule out the big boys in the division for next, right? It's not going to be Joe Joyce, it's not going to be Wilder, it's not going to be Fury, and obviously it's not going to be Usyk. If you can put your AJ manager hat on, right, who is next? Who do you want to see next in the summer?
Well, Dillian White, he was here. I think it makes perfect sense. They're at that stages of their career. This place, if it was here, is banged out. There's going to be great atmosphere. I'm sure the build-up will be tasty, feisty, and that might bring that out of AJ. Yeah. We see it in their first fight. Yeah. I know it was many moons ago, but there was that bit of needle, there was that little bit of bad blood. I think that may have diminished a little bit, but still, it might bring out that horribleness out of AJ we want to see.
And also, stylistically, it's always a good fit for AJ, because I think with Dillian White, he loops his shots, and Joshua punches down the line.
Yeah.
So but he'll have to commit. And that might be the fight. This should be the fight. No, that might be the fight that forces him to commit to his punches, because he'll know if he doesn't commit, the way White throws shots, he doesn't stop throwing them. Yeah. He'll wing them in. So if you don't commit, you're in trouble. So you have to believe in yourself. And also, that you're safer coming forward, because he doesn't punch in straight lines, White. He punches in loops. So you're better to go right at him, like he did in the first fight.
And look, as you say, Darren, credit to Jermaine Franklin. I mean, 8 months ago, this guy's working in a factory, and I think it shows there's a lot left in Jermaine Franklin. Hopefully he gets the call to come over again, because there's so many good British heavyweights that he can mix and cause problems with. I want to quickly touch on the co-main event, Fabio Wardley getting the job done against Michael Coffey. I mean, what's the ref doing? Let it go a couple more. This is heavyweight boxing. You're going to get hit. And it almost felt like he took the shine away from Fabio from what would have been a good win. Now it's like,
Yeah, too early. It was too early. It is heavyweight boxing. You've got to let the fights continue. The referee does have a job, though. But look, I'm impressed with Fabio every time he fights. He's a work in progress still, and you have to say that because of the limited, well, the no amateur experience whatsoever comes from the white-collar scene. But he certainly does have that fire and that spite. Yeah. You know, it almost annoys me a little bit, because I know Fabio, but it's almost he needs to take a shot to get him going. And in this division, you can't afford to do that every time, can you?
Listen, he's a massively improved fighter. He's really comfortable and relaxed, so he commits himself to his shots. He's got a smooth rhythm to his work. But he needs to think a little bit more. I think he found that out tonight, with the way Coffey was turning to the side, and he was looking for that right hand, it wasn't there. So there's a few adjustments. I was talking to Ben Davison in the changing rooms after, and he was just saying, just trying to get him to change the angle of attacks. But he's good, and he's still learning, and he's still improving, and I think, he's on the right track. And I was impressed. That was a good performance against a dangerous guy. If you give him an opportunity, Coffey's dangerous.
I do think that is a good opponent, and it was a good test for Fabio. And I guess the good question, or the best question for this, is who does Fabio fight next?
Well, I mentioned Fraser Clark. And if Solomon Dakers is there, David Adelaide, we've got a good mix of guys in and around the British scene, all at the same level, all kind of wanting to get to that world level, and they all want what he's got. You mentioned learning and improvement and getting better. Let's give Campbell Hatton a round of applause. Yeah. I mean, that was exactly like his dad used to do all those times with that left to the body. I'm happy for him. Gets a stoppage as well.
Yeah, and they've realised, and he sort of said this, I came on the scene too quick, too soon. Yeah. Obviously, with that name, you're always going to have that. And the pressure was a bit too much for him. And now they're doing the learning in the gym, in a little bit more in the shadows, if you like, and giving him time to develop. I think that's what it is. And that was a lovely body shot.
Yeah. All right, we've got to go. They're packing away. We've got to go. If I don't stop Barry can keep on going until Monday. We're going to stop you. April, this kicked it off, didn't it? AJ versus Franklin. So much in April as well. Next week, San Antonio, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. April 22nd, Joe Cordina, Shavkat Rakimov for the IBF, super featherweight title. And then a huge one, arguably the biggest fight of the year. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. Part of your subscription as well for UK and Ireland. You don't have to pay an extra penny. All right, we're going to pick the bones out of this week on the DAZN Boxing Show. From all of us, have a good day.
One of the most important fights of his career. Anthony Joshua takes on Jermaine Franklin. We cannot wait for the return. Big heavyweight night for Anthony Joshua back at the O2.
At any given time that a fighter get in the ring, he's there for the taking.
You in the wrong business if you don't truly believe in yourself. It's not the right game for you.
Jermaine Franklin is a very tough fighter.
Respect my opponent fully, and we're here to rock and roll. The more he talks, the
big gravy pigs for himself.
I'm gonna get the win by any means possible, but if I can put him on his ass, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I'll win by any means necessary. We can get the knockout, that's what we're going for. If not, then we win by points. But we dominate.
Yeah, I'm not here to talk, I'll just do what I have to do because I really want to win. I've been putting in work from the day I started this business.
We are live in the sold-out O2 Arena. AJ is back and he's ready to rumble.
What an opportunity for Jermaine Franklin to make a mark. Joshua on a revival mission as he switches now, converts the jab to a hook, gets through with the uppercut. Brilliant action at the end of the 4th round. Everything so far on Tony Bellew's card to Anthony Joshua. Wonderful work with the jab again. Takes a good right hand from Joshua. And from here he has to pick up the momentum like the very best do.
Yes, sir. Bruh! Fucking hell, them man have been doing. What are you doing? Alright, you? Been alright? What are you doing?